Hello, I am Davina, and hello to all of you bold, very bold, beautiful, and brilliant, evolving souls. Today, I'm going to talk about the needy narcissist parent. So, you might have a sense that you can't rest and that you have to be useful and helpful all the time. Of course, this is part of the fawning response. When you have a healthy parent, they delight in you and they give you a sense that just your presence is enough and that you can just be you and you don't have to be or do anything special in order to to give something to your parents. They are purely giving to you without any sort of expectation. They're not trying to fill up some empty hole in themselves. They're not trying to meet some unmet childhood need of their own because they're healthy and whole. And this is probably extremely rare if, for a parent to be complete and whole and they've done all, like they're completely healed. Um, but so there's, of course, a continuum of someone who is completely whole and healed and someone who is completely um, very, very highly immature, and that's where you get the NPD, narcissistic personality. So there's a range. Um, but when you are a child of a narcissist, of course you never feel like you're enough, and you feel like you have to constantly work to be what they want you to be or to be how they want you to be. And so you never get to rest. You never get to relax. You're constantly on guard. You constantly fear abandonment. You're constantly fearing that you will displease the narcissist and they will reject you and they will then, withhold their care, which of course is extremely threatening to a small child. And the narc parent needs a lot. They are very needy. They will tell you that you're the needy, sensitive one, but they are the ones who actually have all these boundaries and all these needs. Um, so as a child, you try to be, let's see, I can't quite even read my notes there. Um, the child has to hold back their tears. They have to stop their crying. The child has to not express themselves freely. The child has to be, not fussy or not cranky. I hate those words when parents say those things because a child is never fussy or cranky. They're actually just expressing a feeling and a need, that's just a judgment, those words, fussy, needy, or fussy, cranky, troublesome, right? But and the child also maybe tries not to be a nuisance, tries not to be any kind of burden, to the narcissistic parent. As I said, on the other hand, the healthy parent needs nothing. They really don't need anything from the child. They are there to attune to the child, to read the child's cues, just responding in the present, responding appropriately to what that child is needing, to give them the support that they need, and then to also, if that child doesn't need to support, then to allow that child to do whatever it is they want to do independently. So it's always that, like, you're finding that you really have to be so present to be able to do this. And it took me years of practice to even come close to being able to, like, um, give that kind of, you're just giving care and attention and a support and you're validating their feelings. And that is what a healthy parent does. They're just in the moment and they're giving and they're responding. They're not reacting as a narcissistic parent does. Narcissistic parents react to their child. Um, and so, yeah, the more immature the parent is, the more the child has to contort themselves in order to meet that parent's needs. And so this child who is raised by a narcissist never gets to rest. They always have to be useful. They always have to be meeting their parents' needs. So it's a role reversal. Instead of the parent attuning to that child and finding out, what does that child need me to be? It's the opposite. And that child is thinking, what do I have to be in order to meet my parents' needs? And the narc parent can't connect with their child. They can't connect. You can't connect to somebody else if you're not familiar with your own feelings, if you're not in tune, in touch with yourself. And narcissists aren't. They are not in touch with themselves, with their feelings, with anything, because they don't feel. So when a parent can't connect, they have to control. It's the only alternative. It's connect or control. And the narcissist parent controls the child, of course, through their gaslighting, invalidation, and shaming, and intimidation, and all the rest of it, in order to suit their needs, so that they don't have to feel ashamed, so that they don't have to feel ashamed. They don't have to admit, oh, I'm struggling here, or I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to handle this situation, or because parents face these things like all the time. An honest and humble parent will look at themselves and think, like, how can I change in this situation? I'm struggling. They look at themselves, they self-reflect and think, what could I do better here? What could I do differently so that it's easier for my child, or so that my child feels more supported, or um, so that my child isn't suffering so much. It could be something simple. Like, I remember, like, I constantly tried to do this, and God knows I did not do this perfectly. And I know that I've unloaded my own shame subconsciously in very subtle ways that can be unloaded onto the child. But for example, like, a child who is, she would be kind of crying and stuff before lunch, and she seemed like tired and hungry. And so I just bumped the lunch up, another 15 minutes, so that, when we came home from our walk, she was a little bit more resourced and not so tired. And then so she wasn't crying as much. So I wanted to ease her unnecessary suffering if possible. Of course, a parent can't eliminate all their child's pain and suffering, but you want to try, and of course, if you can, to meet their needs. She needed lunch earlier, so that's what I did, right? But a narcissistic parent, of course, would just, what are you crying about? What are you making such a fuss about? You're being annoying, or whatever they would say to you, to like make it your fault, make it seem like you're being troublesome, or you're a burden, you're the problem. That's the narcissist thing. I did nothing, you're the problem. That's their whole cover up, right? And they get away with it because there's nobody watching, right? There's nobody there. So yeah, the narcissist's whole game is to avoid their own shame, so that they don't have to feel the shame, the guilt, so that they don't have to feel uncomfortable. They don't have to feel inept. And if you're a parent, you need to feel your ineptness sometimes and go, shit, I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now. I need to figure this out. But the parent, like the narcissistic parent, doesn't want to feel their ineptness, doesn't want to feel like a loser, doesn't want to feel incompetent, doesn't want to feel weak or pathetic. So they will cover this up by blaming their child, shaming, blaming their child. That's their whole game. And the child has to take it on. They have no defense. And a child will try to defend themselves, maybe for a few years, even until, they're just brainwashed. It's just, it's a kind of like, just like any kind of brainwashing, they break you down. They break you down day after day, time after time, until you fully submit, because you realize you're not going to win. And that's what happens is you at some point as a child, you realize you're not going to win this game with this narcissist. And so you fully submit to them and go along with whatever they want. Basically, you comply and you conform to live life on their terms. So again, the healthy parent, like opposed to the narcissistic parent who's controlling, the healthy parent connects with the child. The healthy parent wants to connect. That's their number one priority. They don't want to control their child. They want to set healthy boundaries for the child. And the boundaries are for the child. They're not, the controlling is for the narcissist. Boundaries are for the child. They're out of love. They're out of, I want to make sure that you're safe. I want to ensure your well-being. I want to help reduce your suffering. I want to make sure that you develop in a healthy way, cognitively and socially, emotionally. So the boundaries are for the child. And the child simply gets to be, they get to be the delight of the parent, and the parent just gets to give, and the child gets to receive, and the child gets to be in their beingness. And this is one of the number one things that has been robbed from us, is being able to just sit in our beingness and feel safe in that, and feeling like we don't have to do or be or please or help, or we can just be. And this is freedom when we get to this point. And I'm not there yet, but I believe that it is possible to reclaim this part of ourselves. And I think I'll do another video on this. But for now, I'm wrapping it up, and I hope this has been helpful, insightful, or just validating for you today. And I am Davina at Boldness Blooming. Thank you, and wishing you many, many blessings on your journey of healing and awakening.